So, this is the kind of update that we all love to see. Because when it comes to the hyping up of prospects, young guys who are exhibiting really good things in their development, there is no grander stage than the World Championships. And that might be a little bit satirical. We know that the NHL is technically the best stage in the world, but still, there is a very legitimate sense of value that we can get here as Detroit Red Wings fans when watching Michael Brandsegg-Nygard suit up for Team Norway. Norway, historically, hasn't necessarily been the best hockey nation. They don't have too many top-tier talented guys, but that doesn't dismiss them from the World Championships, and that doesn't dismiss Michael Brandsegg-Nygard from participating and doing some really good things. There have been clips posted every so often from the game so far of him going out there and creating opportunities. He's making nice dangles on the rush. He's opening up lanes. And Michael Brandsegg-Nygard is over a point per game at the World Championships right now, with 3 assists in games against the USA and Germany. Might I remind you here, the USA features some pretty notable names. And just looking at the roster of the US team, they're all NHL players. Beniers, Cooley, Connor Garland, Isaac Howard. Okay, he's not an NHL player yet. Clayton Keller, Frank Nazar, Drew O'Connor, Tage Thompson, Jeremy Swayman's in net. And Team USA ended up only slightly edging out Team Norway in overtime. So, tight game. Brandsegg-Nygard with 2 assists to go with the 1 assist he had in a 5-2 loss against the Germans. So he is over a point per game, and he is one of the top scorers, coincidentally, in this entire tournament, if you sort by points per game. He is in a pretty big tie for 9th in the tourney in points per game. Not great to see him be totally outclassed by guys like David Pastrnak and Nathan MacKinnon, but then again, it's David Pastrnak and Nathan MacKinnon, so it's not that big of a deal. Hey, he's super young, guys. He's only 19, so we can give him a little bit of leeway, right? With this in mind, I wanted to go over to an article that was published by Wegard Bakihog, and that is definitely pronounced incorrectly, so I apologize. It was posted on nitten.no, a Norwegian website that goes out there and gives a little interview as to what Michael Brandsegg-Nygard's career has been like and where he's going from here. This article will be linked in the description. It's Norwegian, so I had to translate it to English. Michael Brandsegg-Nygard stays in the USA. This is what I have worked for my whole life. MBN reveals that his future now lies in North America, where the goal is to become part of the Red Wings NHL squad as early as next season. Oh man, I love the confidence here. Now, we can just read all of this here. It's in a Q&A styled format. Of course, it's translated, so we're going to have to take some liberties. But I do love just the way this article presents Brandsegg-Nygard's psyche. And I get it, a lot of that has to do with his own personal thoughts that are being shared here. Let's just go out there and read. MBN says that he'll most likely be in the USA now. That's what we've been talking about. I'll probably be in North America. Michael Brandsegg-Nygard tells Nitten.no, revealing that there will be no return to Sweden in the SHL, where he was on loan in Skellefteå last year. The 19-year-old kicked off the season with a goal in the last of 5 AHL games before the postseason exit in Grand Rapids. The Oslo boy then had a quick exit conversation with Red Wings GM Stevie Y. What did he say to you? He said it'll be an important summer and that anything can happen. If I continue, train hard, and do what I have to do, it is not impossible. I'll do everything I can, said Brandsegg-Nygard, obviously talking about his big NHL dreams. And I like that. There hasn't really been too much good coming out of Steve Yzerman lately in terms of people reading his comments and listening to the press conferences and just kind of saying, oh yeah, like the guy didn't add anybody at the trade deadline, and now there's this Larkin thing, and everybody's discussing whether or not Steve Yzerman is doing a good job, and it's been kind of on the downturn for him and his public perception, especially in terms of the Yzer plan, but this is nice, right? Stevie Y going out there and saying to MBN, yeah, anything can happen. It's an important summer. You have to do what you have to do. And if you do well enough, there is a chance that you can make the NHL. So Brandsegg-Nygard hopefully using that thought process to ignite his play a little bit more as he steps into the Norwegian sweater. NHL or AHL. The former Vålerenga, Mora, and Skellefteå player was drafted in the first round last year along with his friend Stian Sjølberg. He quickly signed an ELC with the Red Wings, impressed at NHL camp, and was brought back in September and played his final warm-up games before the NHL season began. At the time, he wanted to play one more season in the SHL if the AHL was the alternative, and ended up in loan in Skellefteå. Now the situation is different. I'm moving far from home, but I've lived far from home, Spider-Man, but I've lived away for 3 years now, so I know a little bit about what it's like. It's a completely different type of hockey in the USA, is my experience from the short time I was there now, so it's just a matter of adjusting, training hard, and doing what you can to hopefully reach your goal, says the 19-year-old. Could you play NHL games already this fall? Of course, it's the dream. That's what I've worked for my whole life. It'd be incredibly cool. Anything can happen, whether it's a trade or people signing. I do what I'm told and hope my opportunity comes to fruition. And that is, of course, a nice little insight as to the 19-year-old's approach, the way he thinks about all this stuff. And, you know, it's a pretty big deal when you're moving away from home. But he's already been doing that the past few years. He's not been in Norway ever since his draft -2 season, pretty much. So there is a lot of learning to do from MBN's perspective, but he seems to be welcoming it with open arms, especially with that opportunity of potentially playing in the NHL barely knocking on his door. On Sunday afternoon Norwegian time, Michael Brandsegg-Nygard started his journey from Grand Rapids towards the World Cup games for Norway via New York and Frankfurt. About a day later, he arrived in Billund, Denmark, without having slept during the trip. I didn't get to sleep on the plane, but I got a good night's sleep in Herning before the Germany game. As long as I'm awake for the 2 hours that we play, I can rest afterwards. Regardless of whether I'm tired or alert, I'm ready to play, says the 19-year-old. He went straight into the Norwegian lead and reacted quickly when he served Andreas Martinsen the puck before Norway's goal against Germany. On Wednesday night, he was second to last on his friend Stian Sjølberg's 5-5 goal in the wild comeback against the USA. It was great to get started. My legs could have been stronger from the start, but I got into it gradually, sums up the 19-year-old. And by the way, that American-Norwegian game was crazy. The huge last-minute comeback as Norway scored so many goals past Swayman towards the end of the third. It was a ridiculous showcase there. Michael Brandsegg-Nygard getting some points in the process, so good on him. But that's the end of the article. I'll leave a link in the description, of course, if you want to read it yourself. But I do think there is so much good to get out of this piece. Talking about Michael Brandsegg-Nygard and his perception, the way he's thinking about becoming an NHL athlete. This is some great news for the Red Wings, especially since he revealed what Steve Yzerman said to him at this year's exit interview. We need some positivity around the Red Wings beat, right? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Michael Brandsegg-Nygard and this great piece of Red Wings news. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.